LED lighting.
LED lighting.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The elephant isn't your massive arse, Nigel.
I think the elephant is. We use less power now because of LED lighting. Yet they put the prices up so they don't earn less. How about they take a bit of pain and keep the fucking prices down?
Oh, it's a bit them and us with old Mr. Martian here.
Bastards.
Bastards.
I've spent out an LED all around my house years ago. Brought the cost right down and I thought, there you go, that was worth it. My bill's going to go down now. And it did for about 2 months. And then they put the bastard up and now I'm paying more than ever.
I do hear that as a society we use less power than we did 30 years ago, despite the fact that there is now a larger population and probably more business being transacted and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a large part of that is, of course, down to energy efficiency.
Yes.
LED lighting ought to be a great thing.
It ought to be.
a great. We've said before, haven't we? We did a video last year on how you can put in LED lighting and actually have it earn its keep fairly quickly, especially today's energy prices.
Yes.
It ought to be a great thing.
It ought.
Ought to be.
Ought.
Sadly, it's shite.
Yeah, it is. It's complete dog shite.
But it's not. The LEDs done right are great. The problem we've got is that the LED industry, the lighting industry, has been bum-walloped by manufacturers cutting corners and churning out rubbish.
Yes. That last, less time than their older competitors did. So fluorescence or...
Yes, a fluorescent light is a marvellous thing. Of course, you can get better quality lights, arguably, at a lower cost of energy with LED. But fluorescent lighting, the advantage of that is its simplicity, of course.
You used to be able to put them in and just forget them until one started blinking.
Yeah, that's it. They'd go for a very long time before you experienced high failure rates.
Yeah.
But we are seeing so many failure rates with LEDs, especially on floodlights. There's a floodlight rant
somewhere,
which I might have put out as a short by now or splice into this video. I don't know how it's going to go. We've been really stung on floodlights. We offer a 2-year warranty on anything. A lot of people say on Twitter, "Oh, what are you doing that for? You fools! Stick on just the manufacturer's warranty, and if you want to put 2 years on the labour element on the workmanship, so be it." We tend to put a no-quibble 2-year warranty on anything, and we tend to buy stuff that ought to last.
To buy stuff that ought to last.
Every now and again, it bites us on the arse.
Yeah, like a decent company sells to a company that wants to cut the corners, then all of a sudden we get bitten on the ass by...
Yes, some big brands, like Philips, for example. Philips is one that really bit us on the arse. We put in a lot of their GU10 LED stuff, and a lot of it failed. And this is the problem with our warranty, is that when we get called back, it's usually on the failure of an LED appliance. Terrible trouble with floodlights. We went around putting in Lakiko for a while. Yeah. They were dropping after fucking 6 months, some of them. Yeah. They were terrible. I actually moaned on Twitter about it recently, and they actually sent me a message, which I haven't read yet. Hi, David. Sorry to hear you've had bad experiences with our older floods. We discontinued them when we became aware of the issues. Not really good enough, because these things should be ironed out at the R&D stage and not put out into the world for people like us.
They discontinued them when they ran out of stock.
Yeah, for the ones that people like us to find the faults and to get caught out, because it's all very well us taking down the faulty floodlight and perhaps even getting it back to store to get our money back on it. It's all our time wasted changing it out. And it makes us look like cunts, because we're the ones going to the fucking customers saying, we'll put up this solution for you. This should last for years. This should be okay for you. Only to get called back a short time later because of warranty problems.
Yeah.
If you'd like to DM me your address, we'll be pleased to send you some of the new Castra floodlights to try out.
Why would you trust them then?
I'm not necessarily going to badmouth Lakiko. In fact, we're going to put in something good from Lakiko today. But when it comes to floodlights, like Nige says, you kind of burn your bridges. It's a brand that I'm not really. It's not going to be my go-to. Leadvance.
Yes.
Fucking hell. They used to be part of Osram, got divested in 2017 to some Chinese manufacturer who are now trading off the name, and corners seem to have been cut. We've been putting in LED advanced
We
stuff.
put in some good ones that have lasted, and then all of a sudden they just started failing
over the last
one
couple of
after
years.
the other.
Yeah, again, it just keeps biting us on the arse. Oh, your floodlights failed. Oh, look, it's a LED advance we put in 18 months ago.
Yeah.
We're not going to get our money back on that, but we're not going to leave the customer in the lurch either. We're good guys, aren't we? We're good guys.
I think so.
Customer care. It's all there.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to leave someone in the lurch. We're going to change it out. So we're here today just to move on to the points, to show just another fucking annoying thing about the whole LED nightmare. The industry has so badly let itself down by putting out a load of cheap shit.
Yeah.
They're promising, that these things are long-lasting, low energy. They're going to be great, good for the environment.
15,000, 30,000, 50,000 now.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not throwing away a mercury-filled fluorescent tube anymore, for example. It's all good stuff, Yeah. And then you come across a piece of shit like this, which is made by a Turner, who are a budget brand. And, well, let's turn it on, shall we? And admire the failure. This isn't one we put in. We wouldn't put in this brand because, well, it's a budget brand and we don't touch them. Just like we don't touch fucking LAP garbage at Screwfix.
Is that it? Is it gone?
It looks like it's actually completely failed this time. It was just giving a pathetic glow earlier, but we don't even get that now. Yeah.
No, that's it.
It's had it.
It's done.
This isn't a installation we put in. This is a workshop that someone else has done. Well, it's still on, is it? So someone else has put this in. It's got a manufacturer date of week 43, 2019. So it would have gone up in 2020, which matches with when we know this place got done.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's 2023 now. 3 years. Is 3 years an acceptable lifespan for something like this?
Something that's in a garage, so it's used for
infrequently
possibly
used.
A couple of hours every week.
Yeah, it's not going to see a lot of traffic, is it? I'd say that no, that's not acceptable.
No.
What manufacturer did I say it was?
Turner.
I know it's not a Turner. It's Meridian.
Meridian. Right.
My apologies to Turner. Turner are a budget brand. This is Meridian, which is a tool station special. They tend to retail Meridian. And again, the trouble with this sort of stuff, like the floodlights, is there's no user replaceable parts on it. If this were a fluorescent light, it would still be going. Even a cheap shit fluorescent light would probably still be going after 3 years. Worst case, you've got to change the tube or the starter. Yeah. Unless it's an electronic ballast. Very unlikely the ballast is going to go. They tended to be very well made, and it was just a technology that was pretty much fucking bulletproof by the time it was so long in the tooth. But this stuff is a problem because this will have not necessarily a custom driver, but some kind of off-the-shelf driver. I say off-the-shelf at a particular Chinese manufacturer, not something you're going to find on the shelf here to replace if it fails, but also because that driver is very much paired with the LED
strip
that's in there, which is not replaceable. Which means the whole fucking thing is a baby and bathwater affair.
That means it's going to go to landfill or whatever it's made of.
There's nothing you can take off it. There's nothing you can repair on it. It comes down and gets binned off.
LEDs are meant to be an eco solution. Long lasting, reduces power usage. But they're failing at such a rate that goodness knows where they're ending up. They're probably ending up in a dolphin somewhere.
And you can't even trust that buying a decent brand is going to be advantageous. For example, as I say, we've been let down by LED Advance, we've been let down by Philips. Who can you fucking trust? That's the problem. So anyway, we've got to change that out. But we are going to change it out with something that is more suited to
the garage,
to the task, to longevity.
Yes.
And although Lakiko have badly let us down on their floodlight wares, we do like these things, which is their Eco Climate LED batten. I'm not even sure that they still make these. This has a manufacturer date of week 33, 2020, and I've just picked it up because it's end of line at Tool Station, and they were selling it off cheap. But we have used these before. I've got these in my office.
Yeah.
No trouble at all. And the nice thing about them, I've got another one here, so one we're actually going to be putting in today, is that like a traditional T5, T8 fluorescent fitting, you've got replaceable tubes. Yeah. Now that's a great thing.
It is.
Because if one of those fails, A, you don't need an electrician to come and change the whole fucking thing for you. And
Your hardware's not going anywhere.
yeah, it's just a case of you go out to wholesalers and cities, like the cities I've been on the shelf. I imagine most of them do. You say I want a 1500mm fucking LED tube, as it is in this case, and bingo bongo, in it goes. You simply retrofit it like you would a fluorescent light. That is a wonderful thing. It minimises the waste, it minimises the effort, and if they have gone end of line, that's a fucking crying shame. Because I imagine if I walked into the likes of Tool Station today, I can't get that. But what I can probably get is that fucking piece of shit up there, which isn't going to last and has to be wholly ripped out and replaced when it fails, which it will, because it's crap. I think a lot of the problems with these, with the whole LED field, I know we didn't script this. It's good that we got an awful lot to say on it. Very boring rant. There's a couple of problems with it. First of all, the LED stuff itself is vastly more complicated than a fluorescent light. There are many more components, connections, solder joints, things to go wrong, basically. So you want it well made in the first place. The second problem you tend to find is that not a lot of thought gets put into heat dissipation. Often the LEDs don't get anywhere near as hot as other lighting technologies, which is part of the reason why they are a lot more efficient for their light output. But nonetheless, a power LED is going to need some form of heat sink. It's going to need to dissipate its heat to stop it from overheating. And I think a lot of the failures we're seeing tend to be like this one on the LED. It's a shame that's not coming on now, because you could really see that earlier.
It was just sort of glowing in.
Yeah, it's a failure of individual LEDs. A lot of these LEDs are connected in series as well, not necessarily the whole lot throughout the strip, but you get sections that are connected in series, and if a section fails, it takes out a larger portion of the thing. So an individual LED failure can have a wider effect across the whole luminaire. And then the third problem that we're seeing a lot of is moisture ingress, failure to adequately seal your lights against moisture, especially with floodlights. And again, if you go back to the halogen lights, you had the chamber that contained the PIR and not a lot else, a box on the back where your wiring connected to. The rest of it was just a fucking lamp holder, and that lamp got hot and helped to drive out a lot of the moisture. But so long as the electronics and the PIR were kept out of moisture's way, generally that light would last for 20 years. A lot of the LED ones, we're seeing failures 6 months plus, and it's because moisture's got in. You see, moisture's got into where it's not been sealed very well for the PIR electronics, or moisture has got into either the LED array or the driver. And again, Lakiko, it's all very well them saying, oh yeah, sorry, we had a problem with some of our stuff. Well, your fucking R&D, your testing should have revealed that these things weren't going to last in the British climate.
All you need is a man with a hose pipe.
Fucking sticks them outside for a few months and see if they last. Right? Oh, well, they're shit. They're all fucking falling like flies. But they didn't. A lot of these companies, I think, figure that they can accept a high failure rate. If they can make it to as cheaply as possible to within tolerances, so that they know it's not fucking top quality. They know it's not going to last a great distance, but they also know that so long as 80% of their wares lasts more than 18 months, then they probably consider that a win. A good cost versus performance ratio. It's crap for the likes of us.
And they take the gamble that someone's going to come back and buy another one.
So Joe Homan who goes, oh, that light I bought failed. Well, I'll just pop down to Screwfix and get another one. And he might even buy the same thing again. But it's crap for the likes of us, because we come along saying, oh, you can trust what we're putting in. We're putting in branded stuff. We're not putting in cheap crap. And we're going to put a 2-year warranty on it. Any problems, you let us know. No quibble. We'll come and change it out.
And we do.
Sort it out.
We do.
And it often leaves us with luminaires that are fucked. Because the manufacturer's claims haven't lived up to what they said, and it's out of manufacturer warranty, so we can't do anything about it. That's okay. That's the way we do run the business. It's just that, like I say, who can you trust? So these things we like, because worst case, one of the tubes is going to go. And the homeowner, it isn't necessarily even going to call us out for that. They might just go, oh yeah, that's gone. Well, I'll just go.
As long as they put it the right way around.
Go and change that. Yeah, you do have to make sure that the tube goes in the right way around. Do not power this end. So, yes, the non-powered end goes. Another thing we do, and it's a shame we didn't catch this on camera, because we did this job just a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, where they had a whole bunch of fluorescent tubes in their garage. And they just weren't working very well. We actually put them in back in 2014. And they just weren't working very well. I think the
They were a lot, weren't they?
The cold had got to them. They've taken way too long to warm up. A lot of flicker while you're waiting for it to warm. It's just not great anymore. So instead of ripping down their fluorescent bands, we wired them out. I wish you'd caught that on video. That was a great job.
Yeah.
We just wired them out so that the ballast was gone.
Bypassed, yeah.
Yeah, bypassed. That the appropriate end was powered, and we went in with 10 of these things that we picked up from cities.
Yeah, so they get to keep their old hardware.
Retrofitted them in. No wiring involved apart from the conversion of the thing itself. And again, you go to somewhere like we got a storage place in Titan. They had fluorescents throughout there, and I noticed about a year or so ago they changed them all to these fucking things. Not necessarily this brand, but this kind of thing, this kind of integrated LED fitting. And I just looked at them and thought, why did they bother doing that? If they'd have converted each one, which probably would have been less time than replacing each one, less labour, then they could have fitted one of them tubes, and then any one of them tubes fail in the future, easy maintenance job for the people who work there to just come along, tube out, tube in.
Yeah.
As opposed to the whole fucking fitting failing and an asshole like us having to come along to fix it.
Who wants the asshole?
Who wants the arsehole?
Not me.
Indeed. Well, let's get this changed out, shall we? And we'll see how it looks on the
They're all
ceiling.
gone by now.
Yeah, no one's watching, so I don't give a fuck. We're fucking boring anyway.
Yeah.
Especially you. Right. Let's work some magic, because it's getting near Greg's o'clock. As you can see, Susan here has just finished replacing the shite light with the decent light. Couple of chobs. Another thing to mention about these chobs is that they have to go the right way up as well as the right way around.
Yes.
You can see that the LED strip is actually on the back of the tube here, so if you put it in upside down, then it's going to give you a curious effect.
Yes, it's going to give you an uplift effect.
The nice thing about these things is it's just a straight 240 and there's no external control gear, nothing like that. As we said earlier, when failure occurs, and everything wears out eventually, it's a straightforward job to replace. But also another advantage, of course, with this kind of thing is that LED technology is evolving all the time, and that's can be demonstrated by the recent changes in the grading of LED lamps. You used to have the scale that ran from, was it A to G or something like that, and then as better lamps came along, they started with A plus and A plus plus, and it all got a bit ridiculous. So they've now recategorised everything with a new A to G.
Don't look, it's not upside down.
No.
Power this end is at this end.
Mine needs to be pushed in a bit.
Oh, okay.
There's a new scale that is now they've reclassified the efficiency of LEDs. So I don't know what efficiency these particular tubes are, but let's say they were a C by today's standards. Maybe that in a few years' time you can get them with the same light output but using a fraction of the energy again, in which case you may choose to simply retrofit new chobs where the old chobs was. Now what we won't do here is make the classic mistake of putting the cover on before testing it. Because
why? You're not confident?
These things can be a bit of a pain in the arse to clip on.
Yes.
And yes, I'm not confident at all in Nigel's handling of the situation. Bang! Passed the old bang test. I scared Nigel then. I didn't catch it on camera, but when I said bang, he was like,
oh yeah.
But that's a nice light. I do like a twin fluorescent-esque light. I find there's something very sci-fi about them.
Very nice and white.
Sexy things, if you ask
Very
me.
good for a garage, the white light.
Yes, good colour rendering. Yes. That is the only problem with some of these things, is that a lot of this lighting that's treated as commercial lighting, you kind of get it in only one flavour usually, which is 4000K. So yeah, where you've got people. It's interesting. We've been fitting Collingwood floodlights lately in favour of where we used to put in LED vents.
Yeah.
I don't know if Collingwood are any better. We haven't had any problems
couple of years,
far.
maybe bitching about that.
We'll see. But interestingly, they're colour selectable, so you can actually have a warm white or a cool white. Do people care about their exterior floodlights that much? We have had one customer who did specify warm white on his floodlights.
Pulp's like a warm white, a very warm white.
Try to avoid pulps.
Yeah.
Terrible places. Right, Mr. M, let's get this cover clipped on.
Wherever it may be.
Oh, sorry, that's behind me here. Jolly good show. Do get to move on, you tedious little man.
Well, it's got to be clipped in right, isn't it?
Yeah, a nice thing.
Out. There we go.
Yeah, I like that. I hope they haven't stopped making these eco battens, look eco, because I think that's a very good solution. And whenever we need to fit a fluorescent-esque batten, that would be my go-to more than anything else. Yeah. And we have put a few in over the years and not experienced any failures thus far. But at least you know if it does conk out, cover off, tube in, bish bosh, home for hand jobs.
Yeah, nice and easy.
And you always want a hand job when you get home, don't you, Nigel?
Sometimes.
Not getting one off me, you twat. Right, onwards and downwards. Let's tidy up and piss off. And I'm going to have a go at fixing that shite light that we just took down. Aha! 'Tis you, the usual freaks, assholes and jive turkeys still watching this nonsense at this point. Okay, well, let's have a little talk about LED tubes, Lakiko, and let's have a go at getting this son of a bitch resurrected in some kind of way. I'm not talking about repairing it. I won't be able to repair it, but I reckon we can still get it doing something useful and save it from landfill, at least for a little while longer. Okay, the Lakiko Eco Climate Batten thing, as we say, we like them. We like them. We like the idea of a replaceable tube. A couple of things to say about it. First of all, an integrated fitting such as this, you may get a better energy rating. You know that energy rating chart I had up earlier? You probably might get a better energy rating out of that than you would get out of this, potentially. I don't know, just because with something like that, the manufacturer can better match the kind of LEDs they use. I don't know. It just surprised me because I bought some of these recently and they were rated on the new scale as something like a G, which you think, okay, wow, really? Anyway, I still think this is a better idea because you're reducing the risk of e-waste by putting in something that is maintainable. And I think that's maintainability is being lost often over the requirement for energy efficiency. That's the whole point of this video, if it hasn't come across already, and I apologise for that. I've been quite drunk. But the efficiency seems to be taking precedent over maintainability. Anyway, going back to these things, what we have here on this one of these tubes, there's not enough room to swing a cat in here, let alone a fake fluorescent tube. We have a powered end, simply 230 volts in, line neutral. We have a non-powered end. Do not power this end, it says on there, if you can see it. The non-powered end is just a straight pass-through. These are electrically connected. I can show you that actually, because I have here my Chauvin Ornu F407 meter, which hopefully you can see. And if I join my clips, it makes a noise. And if I put them onto the ends here, well, there we go. The meter says that, yes, they are electrically connected. Which means you've got to be a bit careful, because on the Lakiko Eco Batten, only one end is powered. It would have been better had they wired the tombstones on each side in series, because then it wouldn't have mattered which way around the tube went in. There'll be more on this quite soon actually, because Linda and I are going to do a little jobette of converting about 24 battens from fluorescent to LED on a job, and we intend to film it. That's next weekend's job. So a videoette showing the conversion and the wiring and all that kind of stuff is on the cards, for better or worse. And with Linda in it, we're talking worse. However, Lakiko have obviously gone a bit cheap here and just wired the one end, which means at some stage someone's going to come along and they're going to stick in a tube the wrong way around, short line to neutral, and it's going to go with a bang. It's a bit of a shame they did that. Obviously I wanted to save a few pence per fitting by not wiring in tombstones in series. I would have a go at them, but I've complained about some of their wares on Twitter recently, and now they've blocked me, and I think that's just cowardly from the manufacturer. If you're going to have a social media presence and you're going to sell things to installers with great promises of longevity and operation, then you've got to take the rough with the smooth. Every now and again an installer's going to come along and point out that your products have let you down perhaps, and what you need to do is engage with them and not just block them. I don't get it. What does blocking achieve? It's childish. It's actually friggin' childish, because it doesn't stop me from seeing what they're saying. It doesn't stop anyone seeing what I'm saying. It just stops them seeing what I'm saying. And if I'm giving product feedback in a public forum, that's valid feedback. You can take it, you can leave it, you can defend it, you can do what you want with it, but don't just fucking hide from it. God damn it. This, like I say, this isn't really the best place for swinging around fluorescent fittings, or fake fluorescent fittings. So this damnable piece of shit from Meridian that we pulled out of that job, well, it's been hanging around for a while now, and we're going to do something with it today. Before I move on to that, actually, what I have here is another LED batten, which I've shonked some connectors onto the end of. Oh, that's busted, isn't it? That's a busted one. Should we have a look inside it and see what makes it tick? The reason that's busted is because I pulled it out of the bin at CEF. We were loading some old fluorescents into the recycling, and this was in there, and it's been smashed. Someone's well, it's not only is it smashed because the glass is physically broken around it, but I also trapped it in my van door as I was stealing it and running away. So it's been through the wars. Maybe we should take a bit of a closer peek at what makes these things tick, because I'm kind of curious myself, seeing as there's not a lot of room for any kind of driver or anything in there. So I just wonder if this is just a whole bunch of LEDs in, well, it can't be a whole bunch of LEDs in series, just drop the voltage, because we've just seen that only the middle section lights. So there must be something of note within. Oh, this is going to be messy. Oh, Jesus. Don't try this at home, kids. It's a good job I've got shoes on, isn't it? Let's see if we can get into one end of this. Always wear safety goggles when smashing glass things up. Is this the powered end or the non-powered end? Because if it's the non-powered end, it's probably no point in me actually opening that end, is there? Oh. We do have a PCB in here at this end. I'd rather banjacks the whole thing, but I'm going to need to just chop that open a little bit more, I think. Just cut that plastic open. There we are. It is just an LED strip, as you would expect. You knew that anyway. And oh, there's fucking glass everywhere.
Who'd have thought it? And then you've got this little PCB here. Not a lot on it. I'm not going to big clive it because what the fuck do I know? There's some more circuitry on the rear of the thing. What do I know about electronics? But, you know, as we were saying in the video, fluorescent is such a basic technology. There really isn't a lot to go wrong, and the more components and solder joints you introduce into something like this in electronics, the greater the chance that something's going to fail eventually and make the thing unusable. So you're reliant on it all being pretty robustly made in the first place. But there you go. I presume that, you know, this is a fusion tube. Fusion we like. We're going to be installing fusion, Linda and I, on this job that we're doing. Hopefully they'll do the distance. I'm sure I'll hear if they don't. But in the meantime, what can we do with this? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop the video recording here. I'm going to clear up this glass. And then we're going to do something with this, which may or may not be interesting. Whew, I'll tell you what, hoovering takes it right out of me. I guess I'm just not used to it. Okay, well, let's pull this smegger apart, shall we? See what we can do with it. We saw on site that I think it's a failure of the LED strip inside of here. When earlier in the video we saw a bit of a dark patch at one section and it just wasn't coming on. We've got a constant current driver in here. What's it rated at? I have to give in and put my glasses on. Go on, burn it. Output 105 to 175 volts at 300 milliamps. Max out voltage 175 volt. Tell me in the comments why they're using a constant current driver with such a high voltage. I wish my electronics knowledge was greater than it is, but it's not. So if I repair this or resurrect this, Jesus H. Christ style, I'm going to do so with a constant voltage driver. Assuming we can get into it, it looks like it might pull apart. Not too much fuss. Yes. All looking pretty good. We need to get that off the end there. Oh, that just comes off in one piece. That's nice. Okay, well, not made particularly robustly, and what we have here is exactly what we expected to see, really, a strip of LEDs. And they're all sort of got these push pins to hold them in. I presume it's probably also adhesive. You'd think that, you know, it doesn't look too bad actually. The PCB there is being rigidly held onto the metalwork, so the LEDs ought to be able to dissipate what heat they give out. There is no obvious sign of failure. Sometimes on some lamps you'll see an LED that's clearly blackened and has popped, but I'm not seeing anything here. They're numbered as well. How many are there? There are 100 exactly, 100 LEDs, but I'm not seeing any sign of thermal damage, overheat. It's interesting, they've got two strips and they've been joined via solder tags in the middle there. But yeah, no obvious sign of failure. The question therefore is, has one part of the LED strip failed, or is it the driver that's failed, or has the driver done something to spike the strip or whatever? I don't know. But I don't intend to reuse any of that gubbins. In fact, you know what, Mr. Driver, you can fuck off right now. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove this strip. I'm going to replace it with just some ordinary LED strip tape. What have we got here? We've got a couple here. They're both neutral white. I get these from CEF, 5-meter reels. You've seen this stuff. 12 volts. This is a, what is it? 1500mm batten. Yeah, I guess so. I haven't measured it. Looks like I've got an end of reel there, which I might actually pair up with some of that just to just to give me a strip all the way down, and then I'm going to just stick a constant voltage 12 watt driver onto there. Low energy. I get these from Amazon. They're alright, I haven't seen any fail yet, been using them for years. Them and Long Life Lamp Company, they're just my go-to drivers because they're cheap. And I've not experienced any failure rates with them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out all these little pins here. Thus. Try not to get them pinging into my beer. And then I shall remove this LED strip. The trouble is I don't know the specification of the LEDs on this strip, so there's no point me pissing around trying to fix what's bad there. There's no point me trying to second guess what I need to be hanging off the end of this constant current driver to make that work. So it's just easier for me to go with constant voltage and to change it out. Let's get rid of all this stuff, shall we, and then we'll prat about. Very satisfying noise. You know, it does actually, I know I've bad-mouthed it as a brand and everything, but it does actually feel fairly sort of robust, this. It's not like they've been completely cheapskatey on the whole thing. But obviously, you know, something's gone horrendously wrong before its time. So let's not let them off the hook too much. But in terms of quality, the manufacturing isn't dreadful. So I presume that the failure is perhaps, and this is the annoying thing about this sort of stuff, it's perhaps just one individual LED that's failed and has just perhaps taken a section out or is shorting out the driver or something. It can be as little as one individual component. And the problem is that the more components you make your devices out of, the more there is to go wrong. I've got a monitor on the wall behind there that you can't see, which I rescued from the tip. I never buy computer monitors, so I always just go to the tip and snaffle one from there, because generally people just throw away stuff that shouldn't be thrown away, and they're still perfectly serviceable and working. This one, when I got it home, I found it wasn't, and the fault was simply one resistor, one tiny surface mount resistor that was nothing to do with the monitor in of itself. The monitor happened to have a USB port on it, or a couple of USB ports, so that you were able to, it's like a USB hub built into the monitor. This one resistor its job was to was part of the powering this USB hub that I didn't even want. I just wanted it as a screen. But because this one resistor had failed, the whole monitor didn't work. And by simply replacing the failed resistor, monitor back in action, and off you go. And that's the trouble. This is what pisses me off about all this smart tech stuff, is the more complexity you put into it, the more likely the chance of failure, because you may have one single component that's nothing to do with the primary function of the fucking thing, which fails and stops everything else from working, and then you just throw it away because nobody puts any effort into repair these days, including me here. Here I am taking this stuff out rather than trying to find the faulty LED and do anything with it, get it out of circuit, replace it, whatever. So, some of this is going into the bin, and all I'm really going to resurrect out of this whole debacle is the metal casing, and the plastic front, which, the metal casing in of itself is perhaps the most easily recyclable part. God, I'm all talking. More beer will help. But, yeah, it's a head doer. That's not quite going to cut it, but you know what? The trouble with the offcuts like this is sometimes they just hang around for ages, and you think, what can I do with that? Well, I'll tell you what I can do with that. I can marry it up to a part of a new roll and make use of it here. There is a risk that the different batches, or the same brand, the different batches might not quite have the same colour temperature. They do have some warning on the packet saying, try not to mix and match, because there may be variances in colour temperature. It doesn't really matter. I mean, let's face it, what am I going to do with this frigging thing? I'm probably going to use it the next time someone says, can I have a light in my loft, or can I have a light in my shed, or something like that. And I can increase the brightness, of course. I could put a couple of strips on here instead of just the one to make it a brighter luminaire. I'm just going to stick with the one. I think, you know, it is what it is. It's going to do the do. And if I use it somewhere like someone's attic as a rather handy loft light, then so be it. And I'll stick a 2-year warranty on it, like with everything else. Any failures, I'll come and sort it out. But ironically, I reckon that this will be longer lasting and more robust than the original manufacturer made it in the first place, using this arrangement. Because this LED tape that I'm using isn't too bad, not had any problems with it thus far. Just gotta make sure I match up positive to negative there. What I'll do actually, because I'm going to have to solder these two bits of strip together, is I'm going to just put a bit of insulating tape under where it's going to be soldered, just to make sure that the solder doesn't leach out onto the metalwork behind and short the fucker out. You gotta remember as well, I'm not saying that LED technology is crap. I'm not saying that at all. I think LED lighting is great. What I am saying is that manufacturers are cutting corners to the point where failure rates are unacceptably high and the level of e-waste is unacceptably high. I also think that I don't agree with the ban on things like fluorescent tubes. I think you need to, or even incandescent lights, dreadful low I believe they actually are, in my opinion, and it is just an opinion, so don't slate me in the comments. I think it's down to individuals to decide what technology they want to use and how they want to light things. I think that if you start taking that freedom of choice away from people and saying thou shalt do it this way, then that's not a good thing. I think I haven't done that very well, I'm going to redo that. I think the fluorescent ban is entirely too soon, because the LED market is so young. I mean, it's about 15 years or so since I first bought my first LED lamps, which sounds like a long time ago, but I was a very early adopter of such because I do think the technology is good. And those lamps weren't great. They don't have a very good luminous efficiency on the old A to G scale. I'll tell you what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to use some of this OB1 stuff to just... The trouble with the adhesive stuff on this sort of LED strip, on any LED strip that I've ever used, whether it's 3M backed or not, I find it's not great. It's probably all right on metal, but I've connected an awful lot of this stuff that then sort of falls and sags, so I always glue it into place. And this should be no exception. I'm going to use this OB1 sealant stuff. I think that Nick Bundy fellow uses something of a different brand. But then, you know, they pay him to use that. This is just what I'm going to put on there. Just to blob over the connectors here, and also to just, again, sort of seal it in place. Is have I got a blocked end? Is my nozzle blocked? Oh, come on, you fucker. Oh, shit, I hate it when that happens. There has to be a better way of fucking dispensing gunk. And this stupid fucking gun arrangement that just clogs up. So yes, I was saying I think that the whole ban on fluorescent lights is too early. There's too many places that have still got legacy lighting in there, and I know that they want to get them off and get them onto something more energy efficient sooner rather than later, but I'm finding that a lot of places just aren't ready for it. They don't even know that this is coming, and they don't even know they're going to have such problems, and then they're putting in stuff that's, well, like this, which is going to let them down. If the governments around the world really wanted to improve things, they would say, okay, yeah, fine, we're going to ban fluorescent tubes and other forms of lighting that we deem to be too inefficient for the amount of lumens it gives off per watt. But we're going to make it so that manufacturers have to provide new lighting that is serviceable. Where, heaven forfend, should the thing stop fucking lighting because the strip has failed, one can insert a new strip with ease, you would think. Okay, well that's all done. So the last step now is to find the driver. I'm simply going to connect the mains input to the input and the LED output to the output. Keep up. Fucking hell. Are you ready? Are you braced? There's the LED driver. I've actually OB1'd that into place. Let's connect the connector, and hey presto. Probably not as bright as what was there before, but again, you know, for an attic light or something, well, it is what it is. I could always, as I say, double up the strip if I so wished. Oh yeah, I suppose I've got to just put it back together again now, hadn't I? Yeah. It's a trouble with, whenever you use that kind of muck, it always seems to get absolutely friggin' everywhere. But I mean, the object of this exercise is just to show really that, you know, you don't necessarily have to completely trash the thing. There are ways and means for bringing something back into service. It's because I do a repair cafe, you see. I volunteer at one of these repair cafe places where we try and bring a new lease of life into things to just keep them out of landfill that little bit longer. How did that go on before? Oh, I tell you what, that was clipped onto the... Oh, that's going to go on, is it? Oh, I've kind of fucked myself over there because that's clipped onto the underside of the strip there before. See, now what I've done is I've just made a bigger mess. That's just going to go in the bin. I might get away with it, actually. I might get away with it. Because the ends do clip on and hold it on. That's nothing a bit of OB1 can't solve. Yeah, you see? You see? You see? Ye of little faith. It's back in one piece. I'm sure I can do something with that somewhere. That's it.
Greetings, you motherfuckers. It's me again, back by unpopular demand for the coffee shouts. Also, David forgot to cancel his subscription to my virtual buttocks and has to get his money's worth. Let's rattle through the names for this video, starting with Pete Farley. Farley. It was nice to meet you in the non-virtual world, Pete. Next is Darren Hill, who joins us as a virgin. Thanks, Daz. Regulars, Test Gear Junkie, pop up as whores. Thanks as always. Keith Whitehead is a virgin in New Zealand. Cheers for watching from a nicer island than our own hellhole, Keith. Another virgin is Amp Electrical in Wales, who sent us the wrong way for coffee when we attended CEF Live. Cheers, mate. Next is Andy Kerouish, a regular who likes to place his finger up our bottoms. Kip Hakes is a whore whose YouTube channel is linked in the description. Go check whatever wank is spunking into your face from his wet end. Steve Skillen is also a whore, thanks Steve. David Patterson, top of the morning to you across the Irish Sea there. Mr. Humbug, I have been, and always shall be, your friend. Live long and prosper. Now for some super wanks. Marker 108 is a yellow super wanker. Herbert Pug is a green super wanker. Hid 3N2950 is a blue super wanker. Muskaski is an orange super wanker. Tomb 4335 is a blue super wanker. Yang Vinak is a blue super wanker. Cathcalister 7118 is a green super wanker. 300-162-2004 is a blue super wanker. Niall Jones is a yellow super wanker. Alan Madigan 2 is a yellow super wanker. That's it for this video. Although I'd like to point you to the mainly electrical channel linked in the description where you'll find someone who does actually know something, unlike on here. Indeed, this channel is run by a sexual deviant who gets his kicks by sticking his stiff pole up the rear end of a pin.